AM 630.
Good morning, everybody. It's 6:37 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. Man, oh man.
Joining us now, this is the great thing about CPAC. Anybody just walks by, you grab them, sit them down. Reince Priebus, chairman of the Republican National Committee. Now, it's important to point this out. This is the Conservative Political Action Conference. This has nothing to do with the Republican Party. This is not the Republican Party convention, because a lot of people confuse those things, of course, because Republicans tend to be a little more conservative.
Right.
But you're here. What are you doing? Scoping out the talent, looking for a candidate?
Yeah, we always can use good candidates. You know that, Larry.
Yeah.
And no, we're here. We're doing our Radio Row tour today. I'm going to come back on Saturday. We're going to talk a lot about what we did in Wisconsin to turn Wisconsin from blue to red, and then what lessons we learned in Wisconsin and how we can apply them to the national party.
Hold on a minute. Wisconsin blue to red. I saw it went Obama in 2012.
Well,
you talk about Walker and the fact that you won the recall. That's great. But what happened in 2012?
Well, you know, this is a very good point. I know you're smiling, but this is really something that is very important for our party. We've got a midterm party that has a hard time losing, and we've got a presidential party that has a hard time winning. And you look at Wisconsin. Mitt Romney received almost, now some people initially thought it was the case, but almost the most votes of any Republican in the history of the state of Wisconsin, and he pretty much got killed. Walker just won a recall 4 months earlier, but he also got 600,000 fewer votes. So the question for our national party is, what's exactly going on in national elections that's different than midterms, and what do we need to do as a national party to not just be successful this year, but to grow our party so that we can actually win a presidential election?
What's your opinion?
That's it.
What do you think is different?
I think that our national party had become a party that shows up about once every 4 years, 5 months before an election. We had become a U-Haul trailer of cash that simply hooks up to a presidential nominee at the end, and then we go away for 4 years. We need a full-time, on-the-ground party with hundreds and thousands of paid people on the ground. We got a $35 million technical and data upgrade, and we got to reform our primary process, and we're not going to have 23 debates in a traveling circus in front of liberal moderators.
So you're going to change that process. Okay, look. The discussion
here we go.
The discussion around this building in the last day or so has been about bringing the Republicans together, because there's talk of a civil war. You got the pragmatist versus the purist, as one reporter has suggested. That's the lay of the land right now. How do you do that? How do you bring these sides, the people who believe we must stand on principle all the time, every vote, against those who say, well, you know what, we need to get some people elected first of all, and then we can stand on the principles we believe
Well,
on.
I think we do have to stand on our principles, and I think that's a correct comment, but I also think that sometimes tactics divide the party. But in the end, if you look around the country, though, there are very few examples of major primaries, to tell you the truth. I actually think primaries are okay. When Scott Walker won in Wisconsin, he had a huge primary. You remember Congressman Mark Newman?
Yeah.
He put $5 million of his own dollars in the race, and I think Jim DeMint and others came in and supported Mark Newman. Scott Walker, we had that fight. Scott Walker won, and the party came together. I don't think that's a problem.
But for those who would say, for example, let's have a big fight on the debt ceiling, and let's stand on principle when it comes to the debt ceiling, and the others that say, well, hold on a minute. Is that the fight we really want to have right now? Don't we really want to focus more on just getting people elected? And if we have a fight on the debt ceiling, aren't we destroying our ability to do that? That's just one example of the kind of battles that take place in this town every day among Republicans.
And I appreciate what you're laying out here for the case, Brian. But in my role, I really don't, and I'm not affected by that. I mean, my role is to make sure that whoever wins that primary, so if you're the guy that comes out and says, hey, I'm tired of this, I think we need to fight, and I'm going to go run, or I'm going to go recruit someone for run, I say, fine, go get the person you want to run. But in the end,
whoever
the
gets
Republican
nominated,
that wins that fight, go fight. Go fight. I don't care if you want to go fight.
So have the fight on the state level.
Have the fight, but then whoever wins that fight, that person has to have the best possible party.
But
let
me just say,
deliver.
you are responsible for managing what I would call the Republican brand.
I think that's fair.
And this is one of the things that people are talking about when it comes to Republicans. Is there a rift that cannot be healed?
No, I don't think so at all. In fact, the day or the I'm very close. I don't want to miss. People will measure this. That's why. But very at the moment that Ted Cruz and Rand Paul went on the floor in October, either just before or just after that period of time, Ted Cruz and Rand Paul were the speakers at our Regents dinner for the Republican National Committee, raising the most money of any category that we have available in our party. So, I mean, this idea that we're fighting each other all the time, it's just not true.
Yeah. Reince Priebus is our guest, chairman of the Republican National Committee. Real fast, bringing it back home here, Virginia, Maryland. Virginia just had some elections, didn't go so well for the party. In fact, went very poorly for the party. Have you given up hope on Maryland? What are your hopes for Maryland? There are a lot of Republicans in Maryland feel like they don't have a voice. Does the National Committee have a voice, and are they helping Republicans
Well,
on the
actually,
ground?
I just talked to the chairwoman of Maryland this afternoon and green-lighted a project that she wants to start in Maryland from the National Party, which actually the RNC spending money in Maryland hasn't happened in a long time.
That's great to hear.
But what I would suggest to folks in Maryland and places across the country that feel like they're a little bit down on their luck as far as getting Republicans to win, what we did in Wisconsin, I hate doing this because it sounds like we did everything right, and I'm sure we didn't, but we really concentrated for years on a bench. I mean, really working hard at the local level, at the county level. Remember, Scott Walker was the county executive.
Yeah.
And he was a state assemblyman for years in a suburb of Milwaukee. But we knew how special it was. We just work through, it's sort of like a GO-PAC model within a state party, and finding those rising stars and putting them in positions to succeed.
Reince Priebus, Republican National Committee. So glad to have you here.
Such a pleasure to have you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you for
appreciate
joining us, and
asking
enjoy
me.
the rest of your CPAC.
All right, you bet. God bless you.